I'm Alina, owner and pet stylist of Perfections Pet Salon. I just wanted to give you guys a quick video to help you maintain your grooming and give you some pointers on how to, just the basic steps on brushing your dog, and some tips and tricks that we recommend for maintaining the coat of a longer haired breed. Obviously it's a little easier if you have a lab, but dogs with longer coats, they take a lot of maintenance, and it takes a lot to maintain their coat in order to keep it healthy and keep it from matting up and causing some issues. And if the mats become extreme, they can cause skin irritations, they can cause hot spots, they can get the moisture trapped in those mats, and it will be close to the skin, so that it can cause some skin irritations from that, and also pulling at their skin, which can be very uncomfortable. And they also, once they get the mats, you have to brush them out, and then it is painful sometimes to try to get those mats out. So the more you maintain that coat on a daily basis, the less you'll have with matting. And so I just wanted to show you some tips on brushing your dog. This is Lena. She is a hot mess, so I thought it would be a good time to do a quick video. So she's a Chinese crested, so she is hairless. So she actually has, she's a hairless breed, so she's got skin on parts of her where her mane and her furnishings, she's got a longer coat. So those are the parts that I really have to keep an eye on in brushing. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how mats start and how they happen. So think about the areas in the dog where there's friction. Under the armpits, behind the ears, around the collar areas, if your dog wears a harness, a lot of the chest area and around the neck area. Keep an eye on those, and it's good to take those harnesses off or those collars off, and not to leave them on all day, because that can rub the fur or hair and can get that matting going. So also the longer parts of your dog, or if you're leaving the ears long or the tails long, any of the longer parts on your dog, you really want to pay attention to those spots as well. So I'm going to show you a little bit about how to brush your dog. So I wanted to show you, this is how we recommend brushing your dog. We start from, a lot of times people take their brush and they'll start brushing from the very top, and they won't be able to get down where the skin is. You can kind of part the hair, and you can start in a section. And if you really want to have a comb, a thin tooth metal comb, and a slicker brush. See, this is a slicker brush where the brushes are curved a little bit, and both sides are the same on this one. And so you really want to go through and kind of brush these areas, and then separate and kind of lift up the hair as you're brushing on each section. See, she's got a little mat right there. So that's what the combs are really good for, because you'll go through with the comb, and if you get stuck with that comb, then that means there's a mat there. And a lot of times the mats are too tough or too big to get out with the comb. It'll really pull on your dog's fur. So you really want to take your brush after you find that mat with your comb, and you take the brush, the slicker brush, and you brush that out. See how it, I don't know if you can hear that, but when you find a mat and you start brushing with your slicker brush, you'll kind of hear the sound of like you're buttering toast. So you want to keep brushing until that toast, that dry toast buttery sound goes away. Okay, so I don't know if you can hear it, but we'll try to do that. See, it kind of goes away when you brush it. So you'll know you're hitting those mats if you hear that dry toast buttery sound, okay? And then you want want to go back over with your comb and make sure that you got all those mats out and you can go through with your comb without getting stuck. Okay? And then you go to the next section. Kind of hard, I'm working on one side of hers. So you just want to go through each section. So just lift up the hair like this. She's got really long hair, so maybe your dog doesn't have quite as long hair, and so you just kind of separate, you can separate it with your hand and kind of brush forward and then let a little bit of hair down and then brush forward and just kind of go through those sections so that you're making sure that you're getting down to that skin. So when the matting gets to a point where it's really, really close to the skin and it's very, very tight in the mats, it's going to be really difficult to get that out with the brushing. So sometimes it's really not possible to get through with that comb or that slicker brush. And when it gets to that point, I would definitely recommend calling your groomer, and they can help you out with that. Another thing with very pelted, matted dogs, it's really uncomfortable for them with their skin because it's going to constantly pull on them. It's also going to trap moisture on their skin, which can cause hot spots and irritation. It can also hide parasites like fleas and ticks. We live in Maine, we have lots of ticks, and it's going to be a lot easier to see them when your dog's brushed out really well. Because those pelted mats that are close to the skin, you're not going to be able to see the skin. And I especially recommend that you brush your dog before you bathe your dog, because if you bathe your dog when it's not brushed out and that dog has some matting, the moisture when you wash your dog, it's actually going to make those mats tighter. So make sure that you do the brushing out before you bathe your dog if you do wash them at home. Severe matting can also cause your dog's body temperature to not self-regulate. Their skin is designed to heat and cool on its own, so making sure that skin is breathable is very important. So if you've got a bigger double-coated breed, like a Golden Retriever or a Newfoundland, Samoyed, any of those double-coated breeds that shed a lot, they're going to have a little bit of a different coat, and they're going to have that undercoat. So what I recommend for that, you can use the comb, but a lot of times it's harder with the comb with those thick coats. So I would recommend a rake. You can go through with the rake and kind of find the mats that way. And there's all kinds of mats. There's all kinds of different rakes and combs and brushes. We do sell some of these in our salon. You can also get them on Amazon or any pet store. You can get, this is the slicker brush, this is a rake, and the thin tooth metal comb. So those are some really key tools that you really want to have on hand. And you really want to be careful to never use scissors on the dog. Sometimes it sounds easy, but especially if you have a wiggly dog, you don't want to take scissors to your dog unless you're trained to do so, because accidents can happen very, very easily, especially on a moving dog when you have sharp objects. It can happen. Another thing that I hear clients say a lot with their dogs is that they don't like to be brushed and they're wiggly, and it can be really difficult if you have a wiggly dog. And it's always best to start training your dog brushing them when you get them as a puppy so they get used to it. But if you have a dog that just does not like to be brushed and you're having a really hard time with the wiggliness, and something I would recommend is getting a licking mat. There's little licking mats that you can get. I think Amazon has them. So if you look them up, it's called a licking mat. And you can put like peanut butter on it, or yogurt, which yogurt is really good for your dog. Dogs will be very occupied at licking that while you're brushing them. And it also helps with associating something positive when you're grooming and brushing. So in the long run, they will get used to it. If you have something positive that they can relate it to. And that's a really good way to do that. So let me know if you have any other questions. If I didn't cover something, just let me know, and I'd love to try to answer any questions the best that I can, along with my other groomers. We're always here to help give advice and keep our puppies happy. And thank you for watching.